Hey guys, welcome back to Testing with Destined, and today we have Gretchen. Now Gretchen has been on test server for a little while, but I haven't posted the video yet. That is because, well, I didn't have time, and she in particular is quite good in a lot of places. She's not like the most game-breaking unit ever, I'm not saying that at all, but she has a lot of use cases and is really interesting. So I wanted to put a little bit of extra time into her video, so here it is. Gretchen, I'm a big fan of, and we'll get into why throughout the video. Anyways, like and subscribe would help out a ton, and let's get right into the kit. So she's Infernal and Chaotic, and is part of the new Infernal revamp with Violetta Vane and a guy who will be coming out later. Gretchen is also a single target physical attack, ally buff, offensive dispel, defense penetration, anti-air fighter, 18 cost. Going into the stats, you can see that the range is kind of similar to units like Valara, Zillitu, Apsin, but with a couple more tiles on the side. And her stats, she has about 17,000 HP, which is pretty typical for a fighter, 5,200 attack, which is pretty typical for a fighter, normal defenses, the most normal attack interval in the game with 2.6 seconds, and then normal rage values. But her kit is where she really shines. So Gretchen is kind of a hybrid unit. She does a lot of things. She does a lot of buffing, she does a lot of damage, and she does some debuffs as well. And that all kind of combos together. Going into the talent, when deployed, she plants Searing Banner. The banner raises, aka disappears, upon casting the ultimate, and then she plants it again when the ultimate ends. The Searing Banner is a whole lot of text, and I'm going to explain it as best I can. After she plants the banner, so on deployment and after every ult, it's going to gain 1 stack of energy whenever allied heroes within the hero's ultimate range take damage 4 times, up to 5 stacks. So she can have a max capacity of 5, and taking damage is the way she gets it. So in areas like Abyss, where she is very clearly designed as we get through the kit, she's going to be stacking up like crazy. Okay? Now the hero absorbs all energy from the banner when casting her ultimate. For each energy stack absorbed, the hero deals 180% damage to a random enemy within basic attack range 1 time, so it's a big burst, and dispels 1 buff from it. So she can be used in areas like APOC 2 or 1, where you want to dispel buffs. Could be used in Mara calls, where there are certain enemies that can be healed, and if you dispel the heal using this, they can't heal anymore. Areas like that, that is pretty useful. And when the banner reaches full energy stacks, additional stacks will instead restore 100 rage. The trigger interval is 3 seconds. Alright, basically gives herself another ult if she's maxed, and just as a burst of damage. And we'll get into some more stuff it does in a minute. Now, she also continuously inflicts damage reduction on one enemy in the ultimate range. 30% damage reduction. So the strongest damage reduction in the game to basically everyone around. So in areas like single target arena, in Abyss, you're going to take a lot less damage. It's very, very important. Very solid, right? Next, we get to the basic attack, which is very typical. 120% damage to one enemy. The first passive, during the ultimate, she's going to apply Rage Regen to the hero and the 3 nearest allied heroes within Searing Banner's range that are neither healers nor defenders, so she's going to prioritize damage dealers. Now, if Searing Banner has full stacks of energy when activating the ultimate, it additionally applies crit damage increase for 60%. This is a very unique debuff, buff. There's not a lot of these in the game. Autumn comes to mind. And that Rage Regen is 1.5 seconds. The way Rage Regen works is, apart from a couple exceptions, I think like Durza A3 as an example, but I haven't really tested it out. Rage takes whichever one is stronger and applies that, and everyone else who's giving Rage at the same time doesn't really matter. If that makes sense, it just takes the highest one. So the main Rage Regen units like Elwyn and Airless only do 1%. She does 1.5. She's going to be stronger. She's going to override them and be better. Not only that, it's a freaking ground rage regen unit. I don't know if we really have many of those. I know Moradin at A3 does that, and that's kind of it. This is very, very special and very, very important. And then that crit damage increase is very good. Going to the second passive, increases damage against enemies inflicted with burning by 20%, comboing with her Infernal faction. For every 1 stack of Searing Banner energy, she's also going to increase the final damage of basic attack by 10%, so ramping up, even outside of the ultimate. And then during the ultimate, the number of Searing Banner energy stacks counted for this effect is fixed to the value when the ultimate is activated. So when she removes all of her stacks, when she clicks her ultimate, she's still going to gain that benefit throughout, essentially. Then we get to the ultimate. The ultimate is 25 seconds long, has a Diaochan A1 range, 700 cost. During the ultimate, increases attack by 50%, becomes immune to debuffs, and when HP is higher than 30%, she's going to HP drain, equal to 10% of current HP of the hero per second. She's a chaotic, she wants to lower her HP to be better. Now in the ultimate, not only is it 50% more attack, she's also going to hit 2 times instead of 1, effectively doubling her damage, and inflicts burning. If a basic attack attacks different targets, reduces attack interval by 20% for 5 seconds. If she kills an enemy, she's going to deal more damage to the second enemy. Very solid. Going to the Awakenings, the A1, if Searing Banner's energy is at full stacks, the hero gains an extra 30% penetration when casting the ultimate, lasting until the next ultimate is cast. That is an insanely good benefit right there. Furthermore, the next time Searing Banner is planted, immediately gains 2 stacks of energy, so she's able to ramp back up to that max Searing Banner. Her basics get stronger. She's going to get that crit damage buff out easier. You know, also, she's going to get that penetration easier. The A1 is her best awakening. I'm just going to say it right now, and it is very strong. A2, extra attack, decent. A3 during the ultimate, after each basic attack, additionally it reduces attack interval by 6%, up to a maximum of 30%, just makes her attack a lot faster, lasting until the ultimate ends. It's a decent awakening for sure, but nothing game breaking. A4, penetration plus 8%. A5, Mark of Betrayal now affects 1 extra allied hero. For an A5, not very good, wouldn't recommend going for it, but it goes from 3 to 4, and then also her. So you could get essentially 5 people to benefit. So if you have 5 DPS on your team, you'll benefit all of them, Gretchen and 4 others. It's a decent awakening, but I don't think anyone's going to really need it. That A1 is very good. Going into the build, the way we have her built is in Soulbound. I just went with attack build, trying to get stats high, but not ridiculously high that no one could replicate it on normal servers. I have Shattered Hilt because she does do single target damage, and that's her build. Let's get into the testing. Starting off, the main thing that I do think she is really designed for is Abyss. Now, my big theory, and I don't think it's like a big like conspiracy theory or anything, I think it's just the way that it is. I do think that we are getting Abyss 2. With all of these new Infernals trying to become better, with the things like the Rage Regen, the crit damage increase, and the fact that she does physical damage in a magic faction, so she's able to help with not only magic in her ult with the crit damage and that freaking Rage Regen and stuff, but also she helps with the physical. I do think that she is going to be very good for it. A very common thing that this game does is they sell the solution before selling the content. So they're probably going to design it with her in mind before it's even out. So just keep that in mind going into this. Either way, the team that we do have is going to have Aelin, Draylin for the healing and the damage reduction. We have Violetta Vane to help buff the Infernals. Not only that, is also going to do some decent damage. Solgavins, Great Burst, Great Lord. New Lord probably will be better, but we don't know until that comes out. Ingra's there just to help a little bit with magic damage. The way I have it set up, I actually don't need her to break all the shields, but, you know, it just makes sense. We got 3 physical, 3 magic. Diaochan for buffing and Ares for debuffing. Now, some reasons why Gretchen is very good. Well, on this team, we don't even have Rage Regen, right? I mentioned that she's really good with Airless and Eloin because she has better Regen than they do, so she still works. Well, if there's no Regen, she's even better, right? Not only that, the crit damage increase is very good because, well, she gets back to her ultimate very fast because she's building these stacks all the time because she builds the stacks when her allies get hit. Abyss, they're getting hit all the time. She's building her stacks like crazy, doing really good damage. And then she uses her ult, she's able to get back to it even faster, which means that she's able to double ult, which means that she's able to crit damage increase. Even on magic, where she isn't doing damage because she's physical, you ult with her, gives crit damage, helps you break the shield, right? She has all of these things, really screams Abyss value right there. So let's get into the fight and kind of talk about it. Starting off, we're going to do Wukong, we're going to do Kagiri, and we're going to do her. These guys are all going to get the invig right here, just so they can all be on even playing field. They're all doing physical damage. I want to compare her at A0 to an A5 Wukong, for example. Going with Ares right there, we have Violetta, we have Ingrid, and then we have Solkadins right here as well. We're going to swap Ingrid. We're going to wait on Kagiri because we have to. I'm going to ult with Gretchen. I'm going to ult with Wukong. I'm going to ult with Kagiri. Everyone's going to do some solid damage. Gretchen needs to catch up a little bit. The thing is, Sun Wukong's damage is very burst heavy, so there's that. Also, the first shield is always going to be a little bit earlier than the other ones. So right now her ult is not coming back in a great time. So maybe it would be better on the first section to just not ult with her at all. But either way, I am just going to run it like this and we're going to see what happens. So we are missing some Gretchen ult. Her damage will be a little bit lower, but still, you know, she's still helping out when she ults because she's giving crit damage increase. Moving on to the magic side. I mean, it's hard to commentate these things. There's not much I can say. Abyss, you just run it, press the ult when you got to ult. I've done it so many times, it's kind of natural. I don't really think about what I'm doing. Here we can Solkadins, we can Violetta, we can Gretchen if we want. I'm not going to Gretchen though. Here we can Violetta as soon as Solkadins is done hitting. Ingrid in overdrive doing some very good damage. I will say I geared Ingrid a little bit too well, so her damage is going to be very high. We're waiting on Gretchen just because, like I said before, I didn't really want to end up missing her damage on the physical, even if she would have benefited the magic people. Now, keep in mind as well with the damage that Gretchen is buffing Wukong and Kagiri, so their damage does get a little bit higher. And because we have that extra rage from her, I can actually get 3 ults a cycle. So I'm actually going to Wukong and Kagiri, which is going to increase their damage higher than it should be able to on, you know, a normal traditional run, but with Gretchen we can do it, right? Gretchen ult, we're going to burst down the shield basically on her own. We can click the Kagiri and click the Wukong ults here if Wukong will come back. And Gretchen is still doing a very solid amount of damage. It's not like exceptional, it's not the highest damage I've ever seen, it's nothing like that. But it is still very solid, all things considered, right? We're more trying to increase Wukong and Kagiri's damage in this run, to be fair. Now, I am actually going to Gretchen ult now, because I realized that we got her ult almost immediately. Why wouldn't we try to boost the magic damage? You know, it's a little bit hard to keep track of everything, but I just think that's so cool that her ult comes back really fast, and it's actually able to support the magic side. There's a couple units that do that for sure, but I definitely like it when that's possible. Here we can Gretchen ult, we can Wukong, we can Kagiri. In order to burst down, we're breaking the 70k right now. I don't think I have the craziest awakenings. I think Violetta and Gretchen are both A0 and Solkadins is A1. Violetta is going to die, so her score is going to be lower overall, unfortunately, but she doesn't have enough HP to live, unfortunately. Here we are going to Draylin, I am going to Gretchen, I'm going to Kagiri, and we should absolutely delete this shield like it's not even there. with no shield break at all or anything, just absolutely destroying it. And the crazy thing is, Kigiri is back already. What the heck? I didn't think that's what was gonna happen. Damn. So I guess maybe you're able to actually slide in 4 Kigiri ults if you run a Gretchen. Because the thing is, you can slot in 3 ults with Kigiri. Here, Gretchen to give crit damage. You can slot in 3 ults with Kigiri if you use an Eloin, if you use an Airless, something along those lines. But that's just, if you don't have it, you can't do that, right? And even if you have Eloin and Airless, or whatever, it's still only going to be 3 ults. I think you could slot in 4 with Gretchen, because her rage regen is higher. That's kind of nutty. Anyways, speaking of nutty, that is a very good score. Now, this is higher than any Infernal score on global servers. Violetta was dead. I could have slid in more Wukong Kigiri ults. I didn't. You can still see that her kit really screams, use me in Abyss! Use me in Abyss! I'm good in Abyss! Right? And I truly do think that the way that the new heroes are always released, she'll probably be meta in the new Abyss when that does come out. As you can see by the damage numbers, we do have a little bit more damage from physical. That is always the way it's going to be, so keep that in mind. So keep in mind, like, we got that extra vulnerable when the boss goes down. You don't have that on magic, and the magic is slightly shorter. With that being said, her damage is very similar to a A1 Sulkadin's and a cracked out gear Ingrid. Violetta died, she probably should be closer to 100 mil. And that Kigiri damage is honestly similar damage to if you were to run like a Leia for damage increase and rage regen. I think she's going to be very good for Abyss. Personally, I think she'll be very good. Keep in mind that that is a 0 compared to an A5 Wukong. With Awakening, she'll get a little bit closer, but I don't think she's meant to just be a DPS. She's also more of a buffer. Let's move on to the next thing. The other area that I do think she'll be pretty decent in is single target arena. Now, I don't think she'll be full meta, and obviously we will see as we go through, but I do think that she will be pretty decent. The thing is, a lot of the recent units that have come out, especially the ancient non-lords, which are very rare and very hard to get, are good in single target arena, like Sergei. A5 Sergei kind of destroys everything, but he's not good enough to get an A5 Sergei in any other content. As an example, Gretchen, I do think is better in other areas, but I do think she does still have some use here. I'm going to be showing off a team that I did see Chatty use. I asked him if it was okay if I used it in my video. He said, hell yeah. So just to clear that up. But regardless, we're going to go through and see. Now, there's a couple other team ideas I do want to try. But the idea here is we have Valderon for in-between damage and being the Lord. Valderon's going to be on all of these teams because, well, he's the chaotic Lord that does damage and is good in single target arena. Why wouldn't I? You know? But we're going to place down Diao Chen right after. We're going to use the new start, which is a little bit better now that we have Dracula. Dracula is A5 in this team. If you have him A0, I do think she might actually be able to replace him, but we'll get there in a minute. Anyways, Valderon, we actually do not ult here because we're going to place down Dracula. Now, Dracula is going to do all the damage here and ideally kill these guys. We are going to lose the stack on Valderon, unfortunately, lowering his damage, but that's okay. Next, we're going to most likely place down Khadgrim next, just so that we can actually survive. So here we place him down. Khadgrim's great because he puts out shields, and when he has a shield with his exclusive artifact, he actually heals himself. So he's able to stay alive very well. Here, we're going to ult pretty early with Dracula. My Dracula, so I recorded this once or twice, and it just didn't end up working because I wasn't getting my ults back in time. So I'm going to ult with him a little bit earlier. You get the idea, though. Next, Gretchen, who is kind of expensive, to be honest, we're going to place up here. Now, there's a couple of reasons why this is good. Number one is this ultimate range covers everyone. Number two, I do have to say that Dracula's self-damage and the damage that he does to his allies does, in fact, make Gretchen get stacks, which is very nice. The other thing is, well, Gretchen can hit earlier here than anyone anywhere else except for above Khadgrim, which you don't want to do because then she'll die because we don't have a healer, right? So that's the best spot for her. We are going to avoid actually ulting with many people here, just because I do want to show off the end of rounds. This might be a little sloppy, but the thing is, people can fine tune it on global. I just want to show off like what happens towards the end of the round if you have both Dracula and a full stack of her. So here we got 2 enemies coming in. We could Dracula ult now. Bam. Now we can actually click our ultimate with Gretchen a little bit early. We're going to kill that guy with Dracula. And now what happens is, well, Gretchen does heavy damage at the beginning of her ultimate, her first few hits. Dracula is going to hit immediately as well. And what happens is you're actually able to burst it down very fast. Now, Sergei can be a little bit faster, but you do need a much stronger Dracula. With this, you don't need as strong of a Dracula. Or if you're going to use Sithra, you got to do Sithra up here, and it is kind of hard to get ultimates, so keep that in mind. Regardless, we are going to keep this going. We're going to Dracula in a moment. Now works. It's a little bit early, but regardless, we're going to do it anyways. Now, I will say that Gretchen is coming back a little bit too slow, and you will need to build her with Rage. So that part is a little bit annoying, but to be fair, she is not basic attacking. If you place her a little bit closer, like maybe you could place her on the bottom, but I do think it is worse. You would be able to get the ult back in time. Either way, I don't think this team will be meta, but it is still somewhat interesting. She gives Rage and definitely helps. And then also does some burst at the end. Here, bam, guy's gonna die immediately. Absolutely massacred. I do think she is, if she can ult in time, I do think she's like slightly faster than A0 Sergei. Once you get A1 plus Sergei, she is slower. So keep that in mind. There is another team that I do think might be good though. Now, you may look at this team and think I'm actually insane, which I am, but we're running no healer, we're running no Cadgrim to stay alive, and we're running no Dracula. And honestly, I don't think this team is that bad. The only thing is keeping Sergei alive, which is why he's A1. I made him A1 so that he would be able to generate chi faster, so we could negate a lot of the damage. Regardless, we're running this team, right? It's a little bit silly. It's not going to work. I don't think it'll work. But at the end of the day, if it does, I can say I'm a genius and I'm the GOAT, and we move on regardless. I just want to show off like a general idea that I had, which is basically the problem with putting Sithra at the top. Now, the Sithra team is consistently beating anything but A3 Sergeis on global server if you have it set up properly. But the issue and part of the difficulty running it is it's hard to get that rage. Well, if you put in Gretchen, she gives you that rage, right? So that's kind of my idea and my thinking there. I don't fully know if it'll work, but I do want to try it. Now, if we can keep Sergei alive, I think it'll be okay. I may need to swap Diao-chan a couple times, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Gretchen also will help increase damage as well, and help clearing the mobs in between. Now, Valderon is going to lose a stack, which is not good at all. Sergei is going to hopefully kill it here. Perfect. We're generating a lot of chi because he is A1. Now, A0 I do think can live, but nowhere near as easily, so we're gonna pretend that this is how he always is. Anyways, we're going to hit it once, we're gonna hit it twice, and we're gonna burst it down. Then we're going to put down Gretchen. Gretchen also will help Valderon get his ult back, which is nice, so we're gonna place her there. We're gonna ult with Valderon. We're going to try to kind of keep an eye on Sergei. He does have an unyielding, but it's only like one time, so I'm not gonna use Gretchen here. We're going to end it with a Sergei. Yeah, we could do 2. Why not? And then kill that guy right there. Beautiful. Now we can Gretchen to keep ourselves alive against this enemy right here. Gretchen's ult is 25 seconds long, which is kind of nice for this. I am going to ult with Sergei to keep him alive. He loves to die, so we do have to be very careful. Same thing here. If we get close, we're going to ult. Then we can click Sithra ult, and because she's a tile forward versus this back tile, she's actually going to attack very early, which allows us to do Sergei. Gretchen ult is still up, and it dies pretty fast. So that's with no Dracula. It's just an idea. I don't think it's faster at all. I don't think it's worth running at all. But if someone wants to try to figure this out and thinks they could do something with this, by all means, try, right? I don't think it's good enough, but you know, we gotta try new things, right? Regardless, Gretchen's problem in Arena, in my eyes, is she doesn't generate enough rage in between in order to deal with some things. But regardless, it is kind of a cool idea. So with that being said, single target, I think she's a decent alternative to the meta. I don't think she will be meta, but she definitely is usable for sure. It's just there's so many strong ass single target arena units already. In my opinion, it's becoming the most pay to win, mostly because, you know, AoE is definitely pay to win. You know, there's units like Valara, Ingrid, and they're all A5. AoE is definitely the hardest, even if you have all the units. But in my eyes, single target requires the most heroes that are only good in single target, which really makes it kind of whale heavy. So I don't think Gretchen's gonna fit in there. Anyways, let's move on to the next thing. Another area she's very good in that I, to be completely honest, don't really have time to do is the new AMR stages. I would have to do basically all of AMR in order to even try this. So here we have Banana Luck's video. Banana Luck, great content creator. I asked him if I could use a clip from his video, and he said, hell yeah. And I recommend checking him out as well. Gretchen is very good here. Gretchen allows you to deal a lot of damage. Now here he has Rivenhold to heal, as well as do inspiration. Then he has the crit damage increase, as well as the Regen from Gretchen. Gretchen is going to be so unbelievably overpowered for the new AMR stages. You may notice on this map, there is not a single platform tile at all. So how are you supposed to get rage? Well, you use freaking Gretchen. That's what you do. Now, do you need her? No, you don't. But I do think she's going to be very good, whether you use her like this or you use her differently. I do think her buffs are very designed for the stage. Remember what I said, they release the heroes for the content that they have in mind for the future. They're going to release the content she's good in later. And I think it's kind of obvious that this is another area of the game she's designed for. Also, she just attacked the guy up there and attacked faster because of it, which is kind of crazy. You need to burst the boss down as well as dealing with the minions. She's going to be quite good, in my opinion. With that being said, what do I think of Gretchen? Well, I like her. I think she's a good hero. But the issue is, she is yet another ancient exclusive non-lord. So, I can't say that she's a must pull because, well, there's such a low chance that you're gonna get her. They need to really add non-lord ancient pity because I cannot recommend anyone who is not Valara level if they are an ancient non-lord. With that being said, I do think Gretchen is good. I do think Gretchen is very clearly designed for recent content. I really like that she's a ground-based rage regen hero. This rage regen is very clutch for a lot of things. I like that she has crit damage increase, which is very rare, which means, well, for a lot of buffs in this game, like inspiration, like damage increase, there's a lot of options. So not only is there a lot of flexibility, also it takes the highest effect of it. These effects never stack. So having a unique effect like this is very beneficial because you can't stack this, right? Like I just said, you can't stack, so I don't know why I use that phrasing, but you can't overlap your buffs if you have a unique buff. I like that for sure. I think she does solid damage. It's nothing like absurdly good, but it is still pretty good. The damage reduction is very clutch. I think her kit is quite good. I think she is quite good. I cannot say she's a must pull at all, but I do think she's solid. Overall, I like Gretchen. I will be going for Gretchen because I have most of the units, but if you're still missing like a Valara, if you're missing a Ardea, a Karn, I don't quite know if Gretchen is going to be better than those. Debatably, maybe like similar to Ardea, because Ardea is not useful in too many pieces of content except for Matrix. At least Gretchen has more uses I can see. whatever, it's an irrelevant conversation. I think she's good, and she will be good for future content, like the new AMR stages, which I'll just do like a side tangent here. The new AMR stages are incredibly difficult. As of right now, there is only a guy who's beaten up to 26 because of the physical side. The physical side is incredibly difficult. You need an A5 Rosalia to push it to the level that you want to actually beat it, and no one so far has beaten 27. I do think these are doable on global, but if you can get a unit that will help you with these incredibly hard stages, someone who does Regen and someone who does damage and someone who does whatever Gretchen does, it's very important. So keep that in mind. Anyways, that's it for me. Just want to go over Gretchen, and sorry for the wait. Thank you guys for watching. See you all in the next one. Destined signing out.